The 2021 Golden Globes was a night full of technical mishaps and touching tributes. We're here to talk the highlights of the night. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. Before we give you all the details on the Globe highlights, if you are new here, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates from us. Today, I am joined by two fabulous co-hosts, Mariah Davis and Gabby Gonta. Hello, you two. You both look great. We're dressed to the nines because it's award season. We have to be. I say we get right into it with highlight number one. We all just watched the Globe, so let's talk about it. Of course, our first highlight has to be Tina and Amy's opening monologue. Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, absolute comedic duo. Anything they do makes me smile. This being no exception. They managed to co-host the event from two different coasts pretty seamlessly, all things considered. They addressed the weird vibes of the night, immediately claiming that with technology, we wouldn't be able to tell at all. And here's a little bit of a clip from that.
The technology is so great, you are never going to be able to tell the difference. It's going to be smooth sailing.
You won't even notice. Oh, I've missed you, my love.
So the comedy duo delivered, of course, not only laughs, but very important call-outs to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. There's been a lot of criticism to the Hollywood Foreign Press recently, considering that there are zero Black people on the Hollywood Foreign Press Association team. It's a group of about 90 people in the foreign press. So obviously very, very important that they addressed that head on. And I think that they did that pretty well. So let's take a look.
Look, a lot of flashy garbage got nominated, but that happens, okay? That's like their thing. But a number of Black actors and Black-led projects were overlooked.
I truly can think of no better way to sort of immediately and openly address the highly criticized ceremony. But I do want to get your thoughts. Gabby, what did you sort of think of this opening monologue as a whole? Do you think they nailed it? Do you think they did a good job?
I really do. I love them as a duo. And I think what people want to see in hosts of award shows like this is a little bit of comedy here and there, you know, throwing in some culturally relevant events that people can understand, like quarantine and Zoom calls and things like that. So I really think they added a lot of relatable content in there. And then obviously, of course, threw in a lot of the deeper topics and harder things to talk about. But since they just are great personalities and were able to add a little bit of grain of salt or a comedic relief here and there, I think they got their point across really well while, you know, not making it awkward or not really calling anybody out, but just laying it all out there and setting the stage saying, you know, what's coming next. We know what's going on behind the scenes that isn't okay. So I'm really glad they started with that as well.
I'm right there with you. I'm a huge Tina Fey and Amy Poehler fan, always have been. So I feel like if anyone is going to host an event and they're going to put anybody on blast or roast somebody, if I was going to be roasted, I would want it to be by them rather than literally anybody else, because I may still laugh at it. I will have an appreciation for whatever they're saying. So they were kind of a little harsh with Emily in Paris. Okay, like I was watching that. And I liked Emily in Paris. Do I think it should have been nominated for a Golden Globe? No, I don't. But I still was uncomfortable watching it. Like, I can't imagine how uncomfortable it had to be for anybody who had a role to play in creating that, or Lily Collins. I was watching her, it panned over to her a couple times, and she just looked like just super uncomfortable. So as much as I still love them for everything that they do, I love that they started the conversation right out the gate at the award show regarding inclusivity. And they can keep things lighthearted. You know, they're my favorite comedians, but they aren't afraid to touch on kind of heavier topics, controversial topics, but they're also very relevant right now. So I like that they can be both funny, lighthearted, but they also can talk about relevant conversations that need to be had, even things that can be a little bit heavier.
Absolutely. I could not agree more with both of you. I think, yeah, I mean, like no one was spared. No one was spared because I think that's ultimately what we expect now from hosts like Amy and Tina. I think, yes, no one is safe from the comments. And I think everyone has to be a good sport. You have to be a good sport in this industry. And I hope that the folks behind Emily in Paris sort of saw it coming, because there's been a lot of stuff on social media and in news sources sort of about how shocked everyone was that Emily in Paris was sort of acknowledged in this award ceremony. So I think they saw it coming. I'd like to at least think they saw it coming. Anyway, highlight number 2 for me was the first award given in the evening. Daniel Kaluuya won Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture for his role in Judas and the Black Messiah. Of course, he is brilliant and deserves everything, and I did sort of see this win coming. Some of them were a little bit more surprising in the evening, but we'll get there. He began his speech, but he was muted, like a bad Zoom call that we're all familiar with. But he was able to eventually make it work after Laura Dern sort of was like, technical difficulties. But when he got back, he did sort of exclaim one of the most iconic lines of the evening. Roll clip.
He did me dirty, he did me dirty, he did me dirty, he did me dirty. Am I on? Is this on? Is this on? Alright, cool. Can you hear me now? Alright, cool, I'm on. We got this, we got this.
You're doing me dirty indeed, Daniel. I think that is a line that people will take away from this evening. Luckily, that was the only sort of major sound mix-up of the evening, at least from my end. But I think he dealt with it like a champ. But Mariah, what are your sort of thoughts on this like sort of silly moment that's opened the awards of the night?
I feel like it just represented the entire year we've all had so perfectly because we've all been communicating with each other via Zoom or what have you. I mean, whatever you're using. And it just represented exactly what we've been going through, what we've been going through as hosts and co-hosts. Every time we show up for work, we have a little bit of technical difficulties at times. So I thought it was pretty endearing and already kind of off to a funny start because they're putting this show on despite challenges that they've had to overcome in order to do so. And it's just kind of, you have to laugh at it. You know, we saw that when it cut back to Laura Dern, she was looking off stage at somebody like, don't know what to do here because you don't. And that's just something you have to laugh at. So I love that that's kind of how the show started. Plus he's one of my big celebrity crushes. So just to see him kind of in a silly moment, I love it.
We love it.
What do you think, Gabby?
I agree. I think it's so tough, but I am personally expecting like big award shows like this or big corporations. Like, how do they not figure out the mute button here? Like, I understand if like we have technical difficulties or like my other Zoom calls, if like my mic isn't on or something, but like, come on, this is the Golden Globes, right? The Emmys, like they did pretty well. This isn't the first virtual award show that we've had. So you think we've worked out these difficulties, but of course, technology, it can just like always go south really quickly. So of course, we got to hear from him finally. It was a fun moment, and the rest of the night went pretty smoothly, although there were some awkward moments, I feel like, in the first half of the show in total. But what can we say, right? If we want to watch these shows, that's how we're going to have to take them right now.
Yes, it's amazing because I was watching it and watching all of the things that went wrong go wrong. And I think our bar is so low in terms of something going smoothly at this point, where I was sort of like, of course this would be happening. Of course, it didn't make me feel cringe like it would in a non-pandemic universe. I think our bars are very low. So I was like, oh, it went off so without a hitch, but there was a few hitches. But it's still enjoyable, Highlight number 3, let's move on. Has to be, I mean, come on, Maya Rudolph and Kenan Thompson's iconic moment. Amy Poehler invited them on stage to give a horrible acceptance speech for an imaginary category, least original song in a television dramedy or comma. A comedy drama is a comma. I just think that's so rich. Let's take a look at a little bit of that.
All right, bear with me. I had a vodka epidural before I came here.
This is so perfect. The speech is going to be so weird. Oh, 3 shoes. 3 shoes.
You simply cannot get better than this pair. And I mean, with Amy Poehler up there, it's just like the Saturday Night Live sort of legends on stage. So I did sort of forget I was watching an award show. I thought it was an SNL skit for a while, which I think was a win, ultimately. I mean, what a treat. I'll take an episode of iconic Saturday Night Live and when they were all on it together. But I do want to, of course, hear your thoughts. Gabby, let's start with you.
I loved it too. I think it was a really good, mix up and something they could throw in there to sort of break up the show because a lot of times there were some good moments in the acceptance speeches, like the actual ones, but it's funny when they throw in a comedy one like this to just like take us out of it for a little bit. I also really liked the Hollywood girls who were like tourists. they were
Yes, love
introducing an award. I thought that was so cute too. So I love when they basically, yeah, like you were saying, Tyler, put on a little mini show within the show. So I was a big fan.
Oh yeah, piggybacking off putting on a mini show within the show. I think traditionally we have all of the biggest stars in Hollywood there, and I don't know if they typically put on little skits like that. I think they do, but you know, these actors, actresses, people who work in production, they all deserve to be entertained as well. So I think that it's awesome that they put them there. Like everyone loves SNL, especially these specific comedians. Like we love to see them. We love to see them come together, especially at big events. So I like that they kind of added that in there because everything was virtual. We don't get all the glitz, all the glamour that we love to see. So they gave us a little something to enjoy on the side.
That's such a good point. I didn't really think about that. Like, because everyone working there gets sort of the entertainment as well. I love that. I'm obsessed with that point. Well, number 4, we're moving right along. Number 4, another highlight for me, this was a huge one, was LaRon Hines' skit. You may know LaRon from TikTok, where he interviews kids and records their sort of adorable responses. He has like 6 million followers now, and I've been obsessed with his videos for a while because I'm on TikTok every waking moment of the day. He introduced the skit sort of as a fun, like quizzing kids on Golden Globes knowledge. But it turned into sort of a tear-jerking tribute to the late Chadwick Boseman.
Who is Chadwick Boseman?
Black Panther. The Black Panther. The Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman is a good guy.
And I just thought, oh my gosh, like you don't get more adorable than that. And it just goes to show that Chadwick Boseman's legacy will live on. I mean, because he is an icon and a legend and ultimately a superhero, both on and off screen. And some people took to Twitter to express how emotional this part made them feel. One tweet reads, quote, "When those kids guessed who Chadwick Boseman was, I'm not gonna lie, I got teary-eyed, #Golden Globes." Another reads, quote, "All of these kids knowing about Black Panther just tears me up inside, #Golden Globes." And I just wanted sort of your take and your reaction to when this happened. Let's start with you, Mariah.
Well, the beginning of this clip was hilarious. I also follow him on TikTok, and they're one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite TikTokers. Like he has his own niche, and we love him for it. And that's really how he blew up so big. I think it's what made it so sweet is, you know, he's asking all of these questions that they're getting just ridiculously wrong. Like their answers are ridiculous, which is hilarious, and we love to see it. But they all knew who Chadwick was, every single one of them, and they had nothing but love for them. So I too got a little misty during that moment because it was a sweet tribute paid to him. And you're right, it just goes to show the legacy that he's left behind, and not even just children that age, but adults. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I know a lot of people who were really personally affected by his passing. So I thought that was special to see that tribute to him. It was lighthearted, but it also was a little emotional.
Yeah, exactly. I love LaRon's TikTok. I feel like I was a proud friend when I saw him come up on the Golden Globes screen, because I was like, I've been there since the beginning watching his little TikTok videos with like the mini microphone, and now he's on actual television producing this great skit and this like piece that aired. So was super proud of him, and it was an amazing story, as we've been talking about. The kids were so adorable, and the fact that they really turned it and said, you know, this is who's the Black Panther, and just made it so much about Chadwick. And then he obviously had a great moment when he ended up winning the award later in the night. But it was just so adorable, and definitely one of the highlights for me too.
Yeah, definitely a highlight for sure. And that brings us to our next highlight, which was another sort of sketch. I really think the comedic sort of sketch moments of the show is what makes an award ceremony memorable, because ultimately acceptance speeches, they get repetitive. They're the same sort of over and over again, people getting cut off by the orchestra, et cetera, et cetera. But these little moments are what make it memorable. And this was one of them. The sketch done with both celebrities and sort of frontline workers and doctors. So the celebrities like Lin-Manuel Miranda, Carey Mulligan, Glenn Close, Don Cheadle, Andrew Rannells, had sort of telehealth-like conversations with doctors.
In Montana, it looks like they're up to Group 1B. Which is person 70 years and older. Good news.
Good news? Oh, why do you think it's good news for me? I'm 45.
At one point, Renee Elise Goldsberry was diagnosed with Bridgerton after revealing that she had symptoms that made her feel sort of hot and bothered, which I think we can
Same.
all relate to. I mean, come on, I think all of us. It was so funny, of course, to see these like huge names interact in this way, but it's also just so special because these doctors, people that are working their butts off and have been for the last, oh gosh, it's a year now. It was just so special, and ultimately, I really appreciated that from my end as a viewer. But Gabby, sort of, what are your thoughts?
I agree. This was a great moment. It was so funny
Yeah.
that these doctors got to act alongside some of the biggest names out there. It was amazing to see them hold their own and go along with the skit. One of my favorites was I forget his name, but the actor who was method acting and needed the vaccine
Oh, Andrew
early, right? I
Rannells.
thought that one
Oh,
was funny.
yes.
Yes, so it
So
was
rich.
just a genius idea to tie in the movies and the TV shows that we are all like focused on right now during this award show with the pandemic and health, concerns and Zoom calls, just everything. It was a culmination of such relatable things. So I thought it was
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah, it was cool to see it all kind of tie in together. It's so relevant even still. And I
Yeah.
agree too with the point that these frontline workers, I'm sure, were able to feel celebrated and working with, I'm sure, people that they're huge fans of. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
imagine if I were a frontline health worker and I was going to work next to somebody that I'd be fangirling over hardcore, if I'd be able to actually like play along and deliver a good skit. But they all did a really good job. So that
Oh,
was
yeah.
a fun little thing to see. Honestly, these skits put all of the Super Bowl commercials to shame.
Boom.
Yes.
Someone had to say it. Someone had to
I
say
said
it. Absolutely. I said it. I totally agree. I thought some of these doctors were really good in terms of like acting. I was like, I believe you. Well done. So they're everywhere. Actors are everywhere. That brings us to another highlight. This also has to do with Chadwick Boseman. His win for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. He won, which I think a lot of people expected. I mean, he was so brilliant in that film. If you have not watched it yet, you must. And I was a huge fan of the play. I'm a huge theater nerd and August Wilson nerd. So it was such a treat. But of course, due to his recent passing, his wife, Taylor Simone Ledward, accepted the award on his behalf and gave a completely heart-wrenching, stunning, beautiful speech. And this is how the speech ended.
And I don't have his words. But we have to take all the moments to celebrate those we love. And hun, you keep them coming. Thank you.
I just think that is so powerful. Her words are so powerful, and the award was so well deserved. And I just thought she held her own. Of course, she was very emotional, as anyone would be. But just it was so special watching her be like he would have thanked. He would have said. I just think, oh God, that gives me chills just talking about it. But Mariah, sort of, what were your thoughts immediately, like watching this speech?
As soon as the clipped over to her and I saw how immediately and intensely emotional she was, which of course, why wouldn't you be? You're celebrating this huge honor for, your husband, who he hasn't been gone for very long. So it's still so
No.
fresh. But it's, you're celebrating his many accomplishments and the legacy that he's left behind, all of the good work that he's done. And honestly, his legacy will continue to do. But it had me also feeling, I don't want to say I got emotional because I was really trying to keep it together because I have eyeliner on. I've got all this on. So I was like, keep it together. But it was so heartfelt and just passionate. And you could really see her heart through what she was saying. And then it would clip
Absolutely.
over to other actors and actresses who knew him and who have nothing but love for him and her. And you could see the emotion on their face, the fact that she so strongly was able to deliver this acceptance speech on his behalf. It was, you could tell it moved the room, or, you know, the room. It was virtual, but
Millions
it
of
was
rooms.
really, really beautiful.
I agree. I was tearing up as well. I think that it's so special because she is obviously, as his wife, the person that was closest to Chadwick, right? So if anyone out there would have known what he would have said or who he would have thanked as she was saying, it would have totally been her, right? So I think that's the closest that we would have gotten to hearing from him himself. And obviously that's such a heavy burden to bear as his wife, who, like we've said, the wound is fresh. She's still going through it, and yet also wants to celebrate his accomplishments. So, I mean, all of Twitter, everyone everywhere is just praising her for how strong she is. It's the same with us three right now. But yeah, it was an amazing moment. And it's such a rare scenario, right? That a film comes out and someone who's up for an award has passed away recently. So it's still, his art is still out there and still touching people, and he's still reaping the rewards from that. So it's really amazing.
Yeah. Legacy. I mean, it's just all about legacy. And I'm so glad that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association honored him this way. And because he ultimately deserved it, alive or not. And yes, I mean, Gabby, this doesn't happen very often. And it was just so wild. It was just really witnessing a moment of history and the strong woman that was there to sort of usher it along. I was just so moved. And that brings us to our next highlight, which was another huge moment of the evening when Chloe Zhao won Best Director for Nomadland. And she is the first Asian woman to ever win the award. It is a huge accomplishment. Ultimately, it's 2021, took long enough.
Nomadland at its core for me is a pilgrimage through grief and healing. So for everyone who has gone through this difficult and beautiful journey at some point in their lives, this is for you. We don't say goodbye. We say, see you down the road.
But of course, we have to address how big that is. And she's only the second woman to win this category, first being Barbra Streisand for Yentl years and years ago. Again, 3 women were nominated in this category, which is the largest that has ever happened in this category for the Golden Globes, which was a huge deal. But yeah, it was sort of a really good beginning. Hopefully, Chloe and the other women in the category are paving the way for more, you know? But let's hear from the women here. Gabby, sort of, what are your thoughts?
This is so amazing. I have really followed women directors, their story, the ones who have been standout in the industry. I've been that's been a topic very close to me in my studies and things like that in the film industry. So this is such a big win for women in film. I think over the years, it's just naturally that they haven't been drawn to taking this role on, you know, the leader of the ship, the captain on these film sets. But now it's becoming more and more common, and now they're really being recognized for their work. So this is so amazing. I'm glad that she won. And I think it is showing that the AHFPA is, you know, moving maybe in baby steps, because of course we know there's issues going on behind the scenes where there's no Black members. That's obviously very much not a good thing at this moment, but we see Chadwick winning. We see Soul winning a lot of awards for the animated category as well as the music category. And that is telling a Black story. And then we have women directors. So I think if we can keep making these baby steps, it's going to be better. But I'm also definitely just cheering for Chloe so much here.
Yeah.
Yes, I am so happy for her. And also the fact that there were 3 women who were recognized and nominated. All of these women are trailblazing for women to come, women who have been working their whole career for this and haven't been able to get there just yet. I think it goes to show that there's a lot of hope for those women who are trying to make their mark in the industry, that people are starting to take notice. People are starting to respect the hard work that they've put in, and we're all going to get to kind of experience that with them. I'm ready to see the fruits of their labor. I hope in the future we see more women who are nominated for Best Director for these incredible positions that have historically only really represented male leads, or who have historically only represented men. And I'd love to see it not just take place at the Golden Globes, but the Oscars and all other award ceremonies.
Absolutely. I think it's a beginning. And I'm excited to be sort of at our age watching people really start to appreciate the works of non straight white men. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
And I would really hope, I mean, that's such a good point. I really hope other award ceremonies prove the same and that we're actually growing. This isn't a blip, you know? So, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
That brings us to our final highlight of the evening, y'all. Final highlight. Of course, there were many more throughout the evening, but these are the ones that we sort of chose for this video. Our final thoughts. Andra Day's win for Best Actress in a Motion Picture. I mean, for a drama, for her titular role in the United States versus Billie Holiday. This is huge. This is a huge moment for Andra because ultimately the category was fierce, as it always is. But I mean, we're talking Frances McDormand, we're talking Viola Davis, we're talking Carey Mulligan, we're talking the best of the best. And Andra has sort of only been a vocalist up until this point. You may know her song "Rise Up." I mean, that's been all over recently. But this was a huge moment for Andra, and now, I mean, she won this category, and her reaction alone brought tears to my eyes. Let's just take a little bit, a little look at her initial response to her win. I mean, that is pure joy watching someone go through. I mean, her speech, of course, was also so sweet, acknowledged her fellow nominees, how exciting this was. I mean, it's such a huge moment for this actor. I mean, we will we'll know this name forever. And I mean, who knows? I mean, again, there are other award ceremonies down the road. Of course, this makes me think of Halle Berry's win in the Academy Awards long ago in the early aughts. So, and sort of her interview as a Black woman, and she has spoke openly about how she thought it was going to pave the way for more Black women to win these types of awards. And we can see in recent history that maybe wasn't the case. And I see Andra, and I'm seeing a sort of similar thing, but in a world that perhaps is acknowledging more head-on the problems in the entertainment industry and other industries in terms of lack of representation. So I think this is a huge moment, ultimately. And I'm hoping that this is just the beginning for other actors of color in these categories, because ultimately we don't see enough of them holding the statues in the end. But back to Andra, back to Andra winning for her amazing portrayal of the iconic Billie Holiday. Mariah, sort of your initial thoughts on this win. I mean, I had butterflies when she won.
Oh, me too. And her reaction was probably the highlight of all highlights for me, because you could see this woman, her dreams were all coming true. She's been a singer and she's had great success in her singing career, but I feel like she sets the example for those who have huge dreams that are honestly like one in a million people. People just get lucky based off of their talent and who notices it, timing, placement, all of that. And you got to see her genuine reaction to the dreams coming true and her hard work being recognized, respected, and celebrated. So that was really heartwarming. And I think, again, that sets the example for other women who, even women of color, who look up to her and think, well, that could honestly be me. Like, I could honestly do that.
Yeah.
So I think that she set a great example, and I'm hoping to see more of that. You know, that's a shame about Halle Berry. I honestly, huge Halle Berry fan. I think she's had a beautiful career. I've seen so many of her movies, but for her to say that she thought she would have had more, that's crazy to me. So I hope that things have really changed, and Andra is really going to start to see more opportunities come her way following this big win.
I'm hoping for the same thing. I thought it was interesting, Tyler, that you mentioned all the other big names in this category, right? Some Oscar winners, some amazing women. And here we see, I guess you could say, the underdog or someone with less, awards under her belt so far. But I'm someone who's like very much supportive of spreading the love, sharing the wealth, not always giving the award to the same person every time, even if they're the best. Like, give it to someone else this time so they can, like you said, Mariah, have their dreams come true and just, spread the love a little bit around. Because like Viola Davis, she's incredible, right? She's going to keep doing amazing roles. She's going to keep being nominated for stuff. So the fact that Andra won instead is just like going to change her whole world. So I love to see that. And like we all said, I hope to see more of that in the future too.
Yeah, the representation. I mean, representation matters. And I mean, now forever, I always forget sort of the weight of these award ceremonies because, of course, in the beginning, Amy and Tina were very quick to be like, these ceremonies are just constructed. They're not like real. They're silly. Like, because ultimately award ceremonies are silly. They're pretty arbitrary, especially something like the Golden Globes. It's such a small group of people, you know, not to undercut the weight of a Golden Globe. But then you think, but ultimately, whether they're silly or not, they hold a lot of weight historically because from this day on, I mean, Andra Day's a Golden Globe winning actor. Like that will be in her title. And I just think that's so special and what an exciting moment for her. So everyone, I think that's all we have to share for you today. Lots of highlights, but I mean, hey, we had a good time. Lots of highlights to cover. Did you enjoy the Golden Globes this year? Please do let us know down in the comments. What were your favorite moments, your least favorite moments? Let us know if you tuned in. And before you go, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos from us. As always, I'm your host, Tyler Joseph Ellis. I was joined today by Mariah Davis and Gabby Gonta. You can follow all of us on socials. You can see those down below. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.